Now, there's a lot of things I learned that I did not know about Chris Powell. And I have to say, I was torn. I still am torn. I'm torn on him, if I like him or if I don't like him. There's been some speculation online that and I didn't go this deep into it, like who he follows, but people were saying online that first of all, he follows Joe Dispenza, red flag. Aubrey Marcus, red flag. I mean, I follow all these people to hate watch their stuff so that I can see what this crazy shit they're talking about. I don't know who he's following and for what reason. But, some people were saying that he follows some like more right-wing content, and I don't know. I don't know about that. I have not gone deep into that part of the situation. What I have gone deep into is who he is, where he came from, how he got started, what he's doing now, how he uses his children in content, how he doesn't. And I go back and forth because he is, compared to Heidi and Dave, Chris is an angel. Chris Angel. He looks great compared to them, but the bar is very low there in influencer world. I mean, Heidi and Dave and Rachel really make a lot of influencers look good. I'm comparing him to them, but comparing him to like the gold standard of influencer ethics, I go back and forth. And I think he's a good speaker. He comes off as very real and natural. I don't catch myself going, he's full of shit, like I do with a lot of other influencers and people in the space, self-help space. He's not braggadocious. That's sort of the positives. The negatives are he does sort of dip into the children use in content, not nearly as much as Heidi, and in a much better way than Heidi. I think he sort of like will do skits with them as opposed to showing them like fighting on camera or whatever, or showing them, with their underwear on, walking around the house in a vlog, which is, yes, something that Heidi has done multiple times at this point. So I think, he does use them to a point, but not as egregiously as Heidi does. Chris is 44 years old. He is actually not named Chris, if you didn't know. This is like his background. I'm reading from his blog. Actually, I can show the blog. I'll just read it on this screen. Chris is 44. His name is actually William the 7th. Damn. He's William the 7th, has been called Chris since birth. Okay, he got his pilot's license. His dad was a pilot. I found that out today. And his dad looks like Michael Caine. Very close looking wise. He got his pilot's license at 17, accrued over 1,200 hours of flight time, and thought he would be a commercial pilot. He was born in Mesa, Arizona, grew up in California, Washington, Idaho, and Oregon, came back to Arizona for college. He attended 8 different schools between kindergarten and 12th grade. He now lives just 15 miles from where he was born. That's interesting about the 8 schools, and I try to think about my own because I went to a lot of different schools too, thanks to my instability from my parents. I had one pre-K and kindergarten, same school, then one elementary school, then another elementary school, then another elementary school, then one middle school, and then one high school. So 6. So not 8. So his is actually, I think, because I felt like it was too much moving for me school-wise. So 8 is a lot. Thanks, Mike H. Welcome. So, interesting. Okay. He lost everything when he was 28 and lived out of a duffel bag in his car. And he talks about that a lot. He says he was homeless. Like, that's how he sort of crispy critter. Yeah. Oh, damn. 16 schools? That's crazy. Yikes. So he talks about that a lot, his experience living out of his car and couch surfing and being homeless. He was once bit by a rabid dog in Peru, and he has pictures of him getting a shot in the butt. I saw that today. He was on the reality show, TV show, For Love or Money. Now, I watched some videos, and I will definitely be copyright striked if I play anything, and I couldn't find anything of him in it, except that there's a picture. I'll show you the picture. It's like very blurry because it's like from like 2005. But he was on one of those reality shows where it's like, the premise of it was so the guy was it was like Bachelor style. So the guy was looking for love, and he had they did a girl and a guy back and forth, I think. Wait, am I looking at the wrong show? Am I like mixing things? I don't know. One of the shows that he was talking about that I looked up, it was like the guy doesn't know that the women, if they win the show, they win $1 million, but they can't be with the guy. And so they'd have to choose at the end. So if he chooses the last girl, then they would choose at the end, like, okay, I'm going to take the money or I'm going to take the love. And he was like on the woman version of that, I believe. Now, where is it? I screenshotted it for sure. Okay, here it is. Oh, so weird. The things you find. Okay, so here's Chris. He's right there. Oh, you can't see because I don't have my cursor on. Chris is, I'm going to put my face on him and then I'll move it away. This is Chris, okay? So he was on this show. He did not win, but he was in the top 5, he said. And it was 20 years ago. So yeah, that's something that Chris experienced. I don't know. I sort of like those little like wacky things like, oh, I never knew. And now I know. So there you go. That's what Chris did 20 years ago. Okay. Where did I put my thing now? I've lost my Chris blog. Oh no. Hold on. I'm back. Oh wait, here it is. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. He plays the piano and even composes his own songs. He can't eat soy. His mom and dad always called him Crispy Critter growing up. He has Hashimoto's thyroiditis. He has 4 tattoos. Okay, so I went through the tattoos. This one, you can barely see it, but it's a sun. And he said he got it because it's like a yellow one, and it was only for him so he could look at it, but it was like a symbol from a yoga studio he used to go to. The other wrist one is past, present, future. The big circle is present, so it's like to stay focused. The other one is his wedding ring that he got tattooed on his finger with Heidi. Heidi also has her other one. Thanks, Aaron. Welcome. And then the other one is sort of cringe. I don't know. I shouldn't say cringe. It's not cringe because I think he really genuinely like believes it and has the message. But he got like this big tattoo while he was homeless, and it's like 1, 100, 1,000, 100,000, 1 million in Roman numerals down his side, and he's gonna mark it off every time he positively affects that many people. So like, one person I helped, 10 people I helped, 100 people I helped, 1,000, 100,000, whatever, up until 1 million. And he did that when he was homeless to try to like get himself motivated to help other people. And that really does seem to be his goal and his message in life, is that it's not about money, it's not about fame, it's about, helping people. And I tend to believe that to a point. I think, when people say that, I'm like, okay, do you have to be on TV to do that? Can't you do that without making a ton of money? But then again, he has started a nonprofit. He does seem to do a lot of like nonprofit work, and he is open about sort of, addictions in the past. And we're going to watch a video where he talks about that. And, so, I think he is helping people in a positive way. So I can't really, I think it's kind of like, okay, sort of weird. If like a guy I was, going to date or something like had that, I'd be like, all right. But then if like over time it seems genuine, I'd be like, all right, I'm into it. His favorite movies are Gladiator, Top Gun, and Braveheart. He enjoys Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and as a 14-year-old got a black belt in Hakoru Jiu-Jitsu, which is apparently Japanese. A date ditched him for Nick Carter of the Backstreet Boys. Apparently, I read about his experience there. He was on a date with this girl, and they were at a bar, and the Backstreet Boys came in after performing to this bar, and he was like on a date with this girl, and she ends up talking to Nick Carter like randomly, and she's like, don't hate me, but I'm gonna go back with him to his hotel room. Sort of funny story, kind of interesting. He loves sardines. He rode a skateboard in college. He once worked as a lawn aerator. He has flown in a FA-18 Hornet with the Blue Angels. when I was in journalism, they asked me to do that, and I said yes, and I freaked out because I don't even really like going on planes at all. And they wanted me to get like a whole physical done, and I was like, I can't do it. I'm sorry. So I backed out. So I never got my chance to do it. Oh well. He plays the guitar and has done so on stage in Nashville. He was once a lumber mill worker pulling green chain. His first weight loss client lost over 400 pounds in a 2-year period. He has competed as a bodybuilder and even got his IFBB Pro card, which apparently Heidi did too. So she said she got a pro card, I guess. He used to do CrossFit competitively. He once worked as a dog food rep at PetSmart. He used to bartend at various MLB spring training events around Scottsdale, Arizona. Thanks, Susan. Welcome. He wore heels and did a heel run on national TV. Okay. His living room rug is a gymnastics mat. Now, I've seen that on his Instagram. He has like gymnastics going on in his house, like on a daily basis. He was once a flight instructor. He's had 4 emergency landings as a pilot. He was coached by legendary golf player Ben Hogan in the 8th grade without knowing who Mr. Hogan was. He used to sing the Star Spangled Banner to Cash to get him to sleep as a baby. I heard the whole family had to sing it together. I guess he's not taking it that far on this list. He used to wait tables at Kona Grill. He swam with Olympic swimmer Ryan Lochte. He has cut his own hair for the past 15 years. It looks pretty good for cutting his own hair. When Rachel cut Dave's hair, it looked hideous. So, not to be mean, but that mohawk was not doing it for me.
That wasn't nice.
I know. He composed the theme song for Move 1 Million Routine. Okay, we got to talk about that. That's his nonprofit. And this is the tattoo. He has a tattoo down his torso to symbolize his goal to help 1 million people transform their lives. We think he needs to add more numbers to that tattoo. He's completed 4 half marathons, 2 marathons, and a half Ironman. His first concert was John Denver at the Mid-State Fair in Paso Robles, California. He has attended 3 Super Bowls: Buccaneers versus Raiders, Niners versus Ravens, Rams versus Patriots. He has rafted 6 rivers. I'm not going to read them all. He has judged the Miss America pageant. He has officiated 4 weddings. He competed in MTV's Cancun Capers with Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. He rode the last leg of the Tour de France. Okay, so I think compared to all the other bozos, all the other wonderful self-help development people in this space, he seems very on the edge of more fitness, which I think the more fitness people tend not to be as cringy to me. They seem to be focused on their workouts and their meal prep and all that. I think it's not as it's harmful potentially in its own way of like, you know, how strict you eat and like body image and all that stuff. But like for mental health, they don't cross that line as deeply. And I think the same with Chris. This list is not like, you know, like an Ed Millette, which we're going to see in a second, where he's like, or a Grant Cardone or a Dave Hollis, even like, I've done this and this and this, and this is my accomplishment, and this is how much money I have, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm going to change your life and fix your problems by listening, just download my podcast. Like this seems like a, kind of like get to know me as a person type of list. It's sort of not focused on like selling you a product to me. Maybe I'm just soft on him. I don't know. I thought I was going to be really mean about him. Like, I'm going to reveal the truth about Chris Powell. And I'm not getting that from him that I thought I would, to be quite honest. But not to say there's nothing problematic, because, there is. Okay. Now this is something that I think people will find interesting. This is a GMA, which, love them or hate them.
Celebrity trainer.
I don't know. I have a mixed relationship with morning television news. But anyways, they did a whole segment about the family, about Derek, who is Heidi's first husband, and Chris and Heidi. And I don't know why this is national news. But here we go. This sort of explains how amazing their blended family before Dave got involved was.
Heidi and Chris Powell are showing families how to make tricky situations like divorce and remarriage.
Now, this is before they got divorced.
work sharing the photo of their so-called
blended family.
Breed on
Instagram, showing Heidi's ex-husband and all of their kids together. It's getting thousands of likes, and ABC's Juju Chang.
Say that again? Juju Chang?
Yeah.
Okay. See, it's all chaotic. Like, morning TV is like, what happens in the morning? They just like throw all the rules of journalism out the window. They're like, just scream and put music on in the background. Okay, so I guess I can't blur it because it's whatever. So this is an old photo anyways. Derek, that's Heidi's first husband. Then that's his son right there next to him. That's the older son. And then his daughter, biologically, are the two older ones. And then the two younger ones are Chris's kids. So this viral photo, which shows, the first husband spending time with the second husband's kids, apparently is like, newsworthy. But they're going to explain how amazing they make it work.
Has the story.
I'm Chris Powell.
I'm Heidi Powell.
And this is what we do.
On their hit show, Extreme Weight Loss, celebrity trainers Heidi and Chris Powell inspire contestants to dig deep and pursue a healthy lifestyle.
Come on, Kane. There you go.
Now the couple, married for 5.5 years, are inspiring people in a new way.
With 3 people that are willing to put the kids first and our egos last, we've come up with this incredible dynamic that has resulted in 4 wonderfully happy kids and consequently 3 happy adults.
Heidi posting this family portrait on Instagram of her ex-husband cuddling with their 2 older kids and the 2 younger ones she shares with Chris, along with the hashtag #LoveMyBlendedFamily. The picture generating lots of positive buzz with comments like, truly amazing example of how to rock a blended family.
The bar is so low.
Actually, Derek and I, we spent some time together just alone so we could communicate, we could talk to each other about parenting plans, etc., and who I could be for his children. It was so important for me to acknowledge and recognize that he is their father. He will always be their father. It's not my job to step in and try to be their dad. I'm their stepdad. And I couldn't be more proud of it. I'm their bonus dad.
The Powells joining the growing ranks of blended families, from Tom Brady and Giselle hanging with his ex, Bridget Moynihan, to Will and Jada Pinkett Smith and his ex.
You want your children to have a safe haven, whether they are with one parent or the other, and their health, their well-being, and their self-esteem stay intact as much as possible at all times.
Though Heidi admits it hasn't always been smooth sailing, they're all committed to making it work.
I'm not telling everyone that they need to be best friends, but I do think that so much positive can come when you're just kind to somebody else.
For Good Morning America, Juju Chang, ABC News, New York.
Okay, so like I
Celebrity
said,
trainers.
The bar was low there. Yeah, I don't know if they were like slow news day. I know that they had participated in segments before on Good Morning America, like workout segments. And I think it was on ABC News, the show Extreme Makeover Weight Loss Edition was a part of ABC. So, that's probably why. But it's like, I don't know, like, cool, glad. And there really is a lot to be said for a white families. That is such an amazing feat. I just saw an article about Kate Hudson, and it was like, she's got 3 baby daddies with 3 children with different dads, and like the amazing modern woman. But yes, it's true. It's like lower class, poor, working poor, whatever you want to call it, like, horrible terms to define essential workers. From a person who's not making as much money or income, it's like, oh, messy, multiple baby daddies. How dare they? There's, if only the nuclear family were to return, like things would be better. But if it's a rich person, oh, it's amazing. It's such a blended family. So it's sort of annoying. And then just on that note about Derek, the first husband, he actually works with Chris without Heidi's involvement. And they posted a photo together, the one that they showed, but I'll read the caption to you. Actually, let me just open all these. Hold on. Deep. And I think the issue as well with all of this is like what you think, the presence of all these shows are. Like The Biggest Loser, extreme weight loss edition, anything. Like if you're the type of person who thinks like, I mean, I know back in 2005, like I wasn't aware. I watch all the shows unironically and I was like, this is amazing. I love it. It's so good. But now obviously kind of having more access to like TikTok and people who are expressing themselves and saying like, and also seeing the results of like the people who are on these shows gaining the weight back because like metabolically you cannot keep the weight off physically. Like you have to eat. They said there's a whole study that they did about Biggest Loser about the winners. It was like they had to eat like 300 calories a day to maintain the weight loss that they had done. It's like, well, that's impossible. You'll be sick before you keep the weight off. And it was because it was so like, I guess, drastic. They were working out 6 hours a day and like not eating anything. And there's speculation and there's been things about this show that Chris was on and Heidi as well, where they gave like diuretic pills to them during the weigh-ins because the show had to be exciting and like every week they had to like, lose a certain amount. And, so the ethics of that, I think, have changed. Now they both stand behind the show. I haven't heard Chris or Heidi say like, no, this is, we were wrong, for doing that. I think they believe in the work that they were doing, but I think there's a lot of proof to show that the shows were demeaning to people of a bigger size by yelling at them and screaming at their face and, like making them cry and them throwing up and, belittling them. And I remember, and I wish I had the clip, but I remember one time on The Biggest Loser, it was already like the week 5, like they had been doing it for quite a while already. And they had a challenge where it was like, they just had to sit in a room with like all of this food, like hot dogs and like cupcakes and stuff. And they were like, if you could sit in this room for 2 hours without eating anything, you get, points or you'll win. And it was like, do they think these people are animals? Like that they can't control themselves at all? That they're going to look at a bowl of nachos and go like, or a plate of nachos and go, oh my God, I can't, I have to eat it, and just shove it down their throat. Like none of them ate it. And it was like, what a pointless challenge. But that's sort of like a bigger question about all this stuff. Like, why do we do this? Why do we celebrate this in the United States? Like the extremeness, entertainment, TLC, like that's not really Chris's fault or Heidi's fault or any of them. But it's interesting to talk about. And sort of unrelated to this Instagram that I pulled up. So this is Chris's post. He says, here's a pretty wild story for you. This is my buddy Derek. We were born in the same hospital in Mesa, Arizona in 1978, 1 week apart. My father's name is William Grant. His father's name is William Grant Solomon. My father's name is William Grant Powell. We both married the same girl, not at the same time. That would be some really Jerry Springer shit. But he got firsties. I'm not sure about that line, if I would have posted that, but okay. I got to be the stepdad of his 2 amazing kids for 10 years, and he got to be the stepdad of my 2 kids during that time. And he put stepdad in quotes. Like me, he has been through his fair share of struggles in life and has become such a compassionate and understanding human through his personal growth. We did not have a friendship at first, just a mutual respect for each other, but over the years, he has become one of my best friends. Our families are forever intertwined, and I'm blessed that my kids can have such a great example to look up to. Now, we are teammates at Transform and working side by side every day. Life is good when you've got good people around you. Thank you, Mai. Okay, let me read mine. Mai says, James Welsh made a video recently and talked about the show for a small bit and said that they had the contestants take diet pills. Yes, I saw that. That's the face wash guy, right? The facial, routine guy. Yeah, he had said, I just watched that video recently. Someone sent it to me. It might have been you, actually. Someone sent it to me on Instagram. And they said that some of the contestants had a lot of health conditions because of the rapid weight loss was not good for their bodies overall, and that they sort of fudged the numbers, made them gain or suggested that they gain weight before the show started so that they could take more weight off faster. There was some TV magic involved, and that it actually hurt people's bodies. So thank you, Mai, for that. I say...
Unfollow me.
Just kidding. Let's do a song real quick. Song break.
Why do you follow me if you don't already own my book?
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is good. I think this shows, and again, this is like more of like a Chris Powell support stream at this point, but I think this is great. I think this is like a good, and they seem genuine. I don't know how much Dave is genuinely happy with Chris or whatever. Like, I don't know the dynamic or whatever. But you know, these two people seem to be like, they're handling the situation the best way they can. So I support it. I think it's a good thing. Okay, now they're teammates. Life is good. Look, I'll be the first to say that it's quite an unlikely friendship, but that's what makes this story so freaking awesome. And if there's a lesson that I learned in this, is not to write people off in life because of the stigma that society says you have to be toward another, especially in divorce situations. Of course, there has to be mutual honor and respect for both parties. But if it's there, okay, I'm sorry, I'm blind. But if it's there, you don't want to miss out on what could be an amazing friendship. So, I mean, bromance. I'm all for it. I think it's good. Also, this is kind of like random, but apparently Chris also owned a Bronco, but like a real Bronco, not a souped up custom Bronco like Dave owns. This is Chris going to college back in the day. So she likes men that like Broncos. And this is him. This is Chris as a child with his dad, who looks more like Michael Caine later in life. He still looks like Michael Caine. But doesn't he look exactly, he looks exactly like his son. It's crazy. He also looks like he's like the toaster strudel boy or something. Like he looks like a child, like actor or something. Like a child model. And did you know Chris was married before Heidi? No, he wasn't. I thought he was too because I had seen these on Google. But it's actually he was a model at one point. And he was also a bartender, barback, waiter, dog food rep, flight instructor, inventor. I will share my first invention sometime soon. I think it's amazing. Lawn aerator. Yeah, again, like I'm struggling to find things other than, you know, him being sort of on this. He seems to be sort of the guy who's like, you know, probably not super body positive. Like, you know, he's got a certain look in mind, a certain health in mind, and if you don't fit that standard, he probably thinks that you need to lose weight. Now, is there toxicity in that? Sure. But, I mean, that is a theory on life, and, you know, he obviously is involved in fitness and in the health industry, so it makes sense that he would have those beliefs. Beyond that, I don't really find him to be super, super problematic. However, here's one example of, I was like, this might be a little too far. He posted on Instagram or Facebook his kids' like rules or whatever, or things to do, chore sheet. So they have 15 minutes each station, which I guess is like all these things. Or no, I don't know. I guess they have a personal growth station. I don't know what that means. Then they got to do morning chores, make their bed, clean the room, put all items around the house away. See the workout chart. So they have a separate workout chart, what workouts they got to do that day. And they got 1 minute of focusing on your breathing and shifting your attention inside. Okay. Coding. They got to go to code.org and do some coding. They got to read a book. They got to write 5 to 6 sentences about what you learned, what happened in the book, and share it with me. Must have good handwriting, or I will make you do it again. You must complete each song on your list, then spend the rest of the time practicing a new song. I don't know what Prodigy is. I don't know if that's like a joke or if that's like a lesson or something. Check your account and review your budget. 50% spending, 30% saving, 20% giving. I think that's a good one, probably. I don't know if you do it every day, but, you know, teaching kids about financial stuff, that would be helpful. I learned nothing. I learned save your money under your pillow and, don't trust anybody with money, and don't share your bank account with your family because they will take what they want. Sorry. Okay, I'm getting too personal here. Make something cool and show it to me. Okay, that's cool. Earnings. You can do whatever you want to do. If you choose screen time, limit is 2 hours per day. So, I mean, definitely. Okay, it's a math app. Okay, cool. Thank you, Trisha. Thank you for that. again, not the world's worst idea. A little strict, I would say. You know, I'm not a parent, but I think some structure's good. Maybe this crosses a line into like, okay, this is a little much for a, 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, but that's your kid. Like, you can do what you want as long as you're not like abusing them. I'm fine with it. Do whatever you want. Oh yeah. Okay. I'll go back to this one. And this one I was a little bit like, all right. This reminds me of, being skinny feels better than anything will, I don't know. What's that thing that they said like back in 2010 where it was like, nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. Yeah, I got lots of sob stories. I'll save them for my therapist so I can keep her in business. Sorry, I don't mean to like talk about myself. I'm just like, I had a rough weekend with family stuff, so it's like, I'm pissed about it, honestly. So I'm just like a little bit more ornery, as Dave would say, than most weeks. So yeah, you're not hungry, you're bored, shut the door. So, he's sending himself signs to not eat. This man is like a workoutaholic and super, super healthy. I don't think he needs a sign to not eat something. And especially his fridge looks filled with like healthy items, like, oh, yogurt, don't eat the yogurt. Like, oh my gosh. So again, like, is it the biggest deal in the world? No, it's not, but it's not something I would be like, that's a healthy thing to start doing in your household, personally. Oh, here's the dad. Doesn't he look like Michael Caine now? That backwards hat, that's so popular, huh? Okay, here's one. Remember, if you guys were here for the stream about Heidi, her tips. She gave out tips for the free boot camp, the 5-day free boot camp course, class, whatever group. And every day they give like a mindset tip. And the first one was chug or gulp your water. This, and also Foundation 5. This is basically like Rachel Hollis's 5 to Thrive. Now this was posted in 2021. So I don't know who came up with it first. I guess Rachel would be first. But it's very similar. And this is like, I guess like, this is just, there's not that many tips that any one person can give that are that unique, but okay, drink half your body weight of water in ounces daily. Okay, we got it. Eat protein. Okay, got it. Deliberately move your body for 5 minutes a day. Okay, got it. Thank you, Susan. Welcome. And, these are more sticking to the food stuff. Rachel's was like gratitude, but that was one. And then there was one other one too, where it was like the gulp rule. Oh, here it is. Hydration check. This is posted August 17th. So not that long ago. And around the same time that Heidi did her boot camp. And it says, try my 10 gulp rule. Try my 10 gulp rule. Every time the bottle touches your lips, take 10 gulps before putting it down. You'll be blown away at how much water you can drink this way. So he says it's his tip. The book also said it was his tip, his book with Heidi. That's another thing that is sort of semi-interesting. Now, Heidi says on Instagram that she's a New York Times bestselling author. And I had heard on Reddit that may not be true. And I feel like I've come to the conclusion that it is more not true than true. There's like a technicality type thing that I'm like, okay, like I guess I can see where she's saying that. Let's find it about. No, that's where I'm at now. So he's got a lot of media, a ton of media stuff. Chris Powell. So he wrote 3 books, 2 of which were New York Times bestsellers. Guess which one wasn't? Not to be rude, but so he wrote this one, The 7-Day Carb Cycle Solution, Chris Powell's Choose More, Lose More for Life, and then the third, Extreme Transformation, Lifelong Weight Loss in 21 Days. The third one was not a New York Times bestseller. But here's the technicality. The middle book, Choose More, Lose More for Life, was written by Chris Powell with Heidi Powell, who apparently wrote like the foreword, or he dedicated the book to her. And that's the one that was a New York Times bestseller. And that's the one I think she's claiming as her New York Times bestselling title, which I don't think wrote. And someone said that they looked at the book and said that she did not write a word of it. So that would sort of like take away the New York Times bestselling author, meaning if you did not write any part of the book. But she did write this book with him, but that one did not become a New York Times bestseller. So apparently her body and face on the book did not help sell it anymore. Okay, so now let's start watching some videos of Chris. Okay, actually, hold on. One more tiny thing. This is his big thing. He's going to talk about it a lot in his interviews. And so we're going to talk about what he has said about the divorce and such. And he also is going to talk about like opioids. So we'll watch one video of her a little bit about when they were still together, and then we'll watch it after, because he sort of reveals the reason why they divorced. Not so much, but I think it's telling how he's speaking about it, but I think he speaks about it much more honestly, but without throwing her under the bus. I think she talks about it like as if, they chose joy and just were meant to, not work out. And it's sort of like he's being more honest about it, I think. So anyways, okay, this is Move 1 Million. This is his nonprofit. Basically, he's trying to get people to move every day for 5 minutes a day. And it's based on this Japanese tradition, or one of the Japanese emperors at one point in the 1920s had forced everyone to do this like calisthenic workout every day. And then they became the healthiest country in the world. And so he believes that like America should adopt this trend. Again, not overtly problematic, but sort of forcing people to work out is sort of, on the line of becoming problematic. But that's his nonprofit. So he does stuff where he, has his kids and uses them to kind of promote this. He does it in a lot of schools. Like he's doing this with the school. His kids are there on the stage with him, showing them the workouts. So, I think kids should be left alone to be kids and not being part of any sort of program whatsoever. But, at this point, it's like at school, I can understand it somewhat. And apparently he wrote a song called like Youre the Hero or something that he does for this. And I haven't been able to find it, but he wrote it and composed it. And it's part of the fitness nonprofit thing. And this is the website. And apparently it's an app too. I guess it's less than 3 minutes a day. And he'll do this different routines. It's like a whole, maybe this has the song in it.
So the first move that we're gonna do is a slow head roll to the right. So it's gonna look like this. A nice slow, the center. That's what we call the star lunge.
Oh yeah, here's the song. Hopefully I can play it. And it's pretty inclusive, I think, for, everybody. They have kids, different ages, different abilities. I think he genuinely, the way I read it, is he wants people to move. Now, whether that's his decision to try to, get everyone in the world to move, I don't know. That's sort of a weird thing to try to put onto people, but I get it. I sort of understand where he's coming from. Okay, my favorite, Ed Millette. Love him. Just kidding. If you want to know who the heck Ed Millette is, Camellia on YouTube, Cam, who I do cringefluencers with, she just did a whole video about who Ed Millette is and like his scammy ways. But anyways, he brings people out to his luxury mansion, one of the many that he's got in the area, as he'll tell you. And he interviewed Chris and Heidi before they broke up. And I think it shows them interacting, which I think is important to kind of get how they interacted. But then I think we should watch a little bit of the aftermath, because I think, like I said, he does sort of disclose some stuff. So here we go.
Welcome back to Max Out, everybody. I'm Ed Millette. Today, we're talking transformations, and I have been chasing these two for, I don't know, a couple months probably, right? To be on the show. And so these folks to my left, you definitely recognize them. For 5.5 years or so, they were on ABC hosting the show Extreme Weight Loss, and they've turned into fitness icons. You can tell if you're watching the YouTube version of this from looking at both of them. They're two of the fittest people that are married together in the history of the world, and making me feel very out of shape to start out the show today. But I'm honored to have you guys here because they're experts on transformation. So we're going to talk about that topic today throughout, not just in your body, but in your life. So if you're interested in making a transformation, we're going to talk about the tools and skills and resources to do that with two experts today. So I have Chris and Heidi Powell with me here today. Thanks for being here, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Ed Millette got, his money sketchily, but started off in an MLM. So, okay, that's the only background you really need. World Financial Group, he was, upline for.
I was actually going to say.
Thank you so much. This really is a dream come true for us.
Awesome, man.
And
awesome.
I was going to say, you make us feel out of shape. Like, look at you.
Stop it.
You look amazing.
We've been doing this off camera. They've been trying to make me feel better about myself for about a half hour, everybody,
Well,
just so you know.
We've been watching you for quite some time, and you really are an inspiration for all of us.
Thank you,
so,
man.
Yeah.
Well, you've done that for me I've
Okay, Chris, I'm losing my respect. Don't compliment Ed Millette, the MLM king, who has a YouTube channel. Come on.
told you this too, and that's why I pursued you guys, because I think, a lot of people talk about being able to change their life, but you've proven it. Like, there's data to prove that the two of you know how to not only change your own lives, which we'll talk about today, but you've changed just so many people's lives, both emotionally, physically, financially in some cases. And so I want to talk about all that today. I know that's what everyone's dying for me to cover with you guys. So but I want to start with the two of you, because I think you're both so interesting. So if we could just go back, tell them, because I think it's a testimony of transformation. Everything in your life happens for you and not to you, is what I teach people, right?
That's what I teach people, that Tony Robbins taught me, that I taught to Rachel Hollis, that Rachel Hollis taught to Heidi Powell. It's like, oh my God, can we get a new phrase? Life doesn't happen for you, it happens through you, as Savvy would say. It's like the most overused quote ever. Can we please move on?
And kind of that, you guys sort of embody that, even how you met. Yeah. So one of you tell me about how you guys met.
Oh my gosh, well, I go back, if you rewind about 15 years, after getting a degree in exercise science, and I was training for quite some time, I ended up landing a gig as the Good Morning Arizona, the fitness guy.
Okay. And
after about 5 months of doing that, we had more and more people that were 400, 500, 600 pounds writing in, asking for help. Wow. And at the time, this is early 2000s, so you don't see that a lot. And NBC was working on a show called The Biggest Loser at the time, so that was the first thing you really start to kind of highlight the morbidly obese and the super obese. And so I ended up, there was a gentleman who was 635 pounds at the time.
How big?
635 pounds.
Yes, the guy that started it all.
And this will lead to actually how we met. There's a little bit of a backstory. I hope you don't mind here.
She's much more calm in letting him speak than she is with Dave. Dave would have said a word and she'd be like, ah, and cut him off immediately. So she has changed over time.
No, I want to.
You're like, where is he going with this?
I'm watching your face, Heidi.
Yeah, I know, right? So, and he reached out to me, and I was just doing a gig on the morning news at the time, because I was just passionate about fitness and so excited about this stuff.
And apparently, now I don't know this 100%, so this could be all fake, so don't hold me to this, but I believe that Heidi's mom I think they're broken up now, but for a while was dating the anchor of the Arizona TV show in the morning. So it's all a small circle. He was the fitness guy, and then Heidi got onto the show too, and then I don't know which one came first, if Heidi's mom was dating him first or second, I don't know, but apparently that's part of this story as well.
And I had no idea how I could possibly help him, but I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And he wrote me this huge long letter just asking for help, saying that, we were the same age. His doctor just left his house. He was stuck in his basement for 2 years, and the doctor said he wouldn't live to see 30.
Yeah, that's Dave right there in that boat. Taking himself off the harbor of fragility.
I couldn't stop thinking about it. So I ended up, a week later, I emailed him, asked him for his address, said I want to come meet you. And I showed up at his door. I knew he was going to be there because he hadn't left in 2 years.
Wow.
And we sat down, we started talking for like 10 minutes. I was like, dude, this guy's a bro. He's just awesome. Great sense of humor. He was just trapped in this 635-pound body. And I said, dude, I have no idea where this is going to go, but I'll be back on Tuesday. And so I showed up every other day for 2 years.
Oh my gosh.
He ended up losing 400 pounds and
Isn't that
became my
crazy?
best friend. And in the process, and it was just the most incredible experience for both of us. And at the time, so he lost the weight, and once he had actually lost the weight, he had all this skin. His teeth were rotted out. He had Coke bottle glasses. So I reached out to some of my doctor friends, and I got him 5 surgeries for the skin and got his eyes done and his teeth. And the guy he looked like a model. And so I'm about to date us here. He ended up posting his before and afters on MySpace. You remember MySpace? And it went viral. Within 2 weeks, we were getting hit up for Oprah and the Today Show in 2020. And so it was this crazy whirlwind. This is back in 2005. I was making these systems that would stack all of your meals in there. There's a timer that would go off every 3 hours and it would tell you to eat again.
Okay.
So it was a cool concept.
Yeah, it sure was.
But I'm not a businessman. I'm just a trainer out there just trying to help a bunch of people. So I saved all my money. I sent it over to a factory in China, not knowing what I was doing. I ended up purchasing 12,500 units. I borrowed a lot of money. The container ends up...
He apparently, I don't know if he tells it in this interview, but he apparently borrowed $200,000 from people, and whatever this business he's talking about failed after his success of like helping this guy and getting like exposure, and didn't work out. So now he owns or owes people a lot of money, and that's what led to him living in his car.
Making it over here to San Pedro. I'm standing there as it's coming off the docks. They open up the very first cardboard box, and I pull this thing out, and it was just trash.
Oh no.
And I lost it. I literally crumbled. Mentally, it broke me because that was all of them. It was a couple hundred. It's probably about 150,000 that I'd saved up as a trainer. Another $200,000 that I'd borrowed from other people, and I was sitting on a massive container of product that I couldn't sell. It wasn't even what I ordered. And so I broke, and at the same time, I was still training hard. I ended up herniating a disc in my back, my L5S1, and this is back in '06. So a lot of the doctors back in that day, they're like, here, take this. It's going to make you feel better. You can function on this. It's called Vicodin. The Vicodin, while it helped kill the pain in my back, it also helped kill the pain of my financial downslide. And pretty soon when my back, as far as the pain goes, it was totally managed, but I still felt the financial pain and the emotional pain of losing everything. And ego though, and I'm just gonna speak totally transparently here, but all my friends, I was the guy that made it. I was on the morning news, and I was helping all these people, and I was the guy. And I was too prideful to let them know that I was hurting, that I was hooked on Vicodin, that I had lost everything, because I had to be that guy for I was like, dude, it's Chris Powell. He's always got a smile on his face. He's always so happy. He's always got, and I would go home, and I was in such a deep depression, and I was using opiates to numb that pain. I ended up, after 2 years.
I gotta say, I don't know. I feel like, to me, this came off as very real. At least he's admitting that he fucked up, and he's not like, but it made me the guy I am, and now I'm gonna sell you this course. It just seems like a guy who, to me, maybe I'm just being soft. I don't know. But when I hear this, I'm like, I don't hear him trying to mislead in any way. He's being honest, he got hooked and he was in a bad place, and to me, I'm like, okay, that's a genuine story, and I think someone could hear that and go, all right, if this guy sort of bounced back and got his shit together, maybe I could, my situation, I could get off of, opioids or something, obviously not just by watching the video, but, I don't think it's as, what's the word? I don't know, performative as a lot of other gurus are, Ed is, in my opinion, and Heidi is.
And losing everything, I lost the roof.
Everyone's like, this is boring. This is boring. Okay, let's watch a little bit more, and then we'll watch the divorce stuff.
Over my head, and so I had to move out of I was crashing at my buddy's condo. He told me one day, he's like, dude, you can't stay here anymore, because I couldn't afford to pay him. I lost everything. I was paying for basically every dime I could make. I was in $250,000 in debt.
Yeah.
And I was hooked on painkillers for 2 years. And I haven't shared that part of the story.
Man, I gotta be honest with you. I'm listening to you. First off, one of the things I've always loved about you is your vulnerability. It's one of the things that makes people connect with you. I just want to acknowledge.
Shut up, Ed. Basically, okay, since everyone's bored, basically, this connects because, unfortunately, I think he starts to figure out, okay, I need to figure out my life. He goes to Landmark, which is something that we need to discuss at some point, and I need to do more research in. And people have reached out to me and have been a part of Landmark, and I need to like do interviews with them to make it more like a bigger story. But it's a self-help thing, and it's culty from what I've heard, or it can be culty, and that's what Heidi went to, and that's where Chris went. That's how they met, and they, fell in love because they both were into fitness stuff. So let's just skip ahead, let's hear Heidi talk just for a little bit, and then we'll go to the divorce stuff.
The idea behind it is
I'm loving this.
You have to keep yourself winning. You have to keep
Momentum.
people winning. Yeah.
Winning.
The next thing, it's like once you know you can win at something, when you make one small commitment, and for some of our people, believe it or not, it's as simple as brushing your teeth every day. Like, what is one thing you can do every single day that you know without a shadow of a doubt you can do forever and ever and ever? Yep. Do that.
Gosh,
you check it off the list and you win, and you create something called integrity momentum. That's one of the words the phrases that we use quite often. And once you build that integrity momentum and you master your first power promise, again, say it's just brushing your teeth every day for 2 weeks. It seems so small, and it is so.
I don't know what she's talking about, but she sounds so much more coherent and better and calmer and more likable